Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the news from Saba Satellite Channel from Marib. Here are tonight's top stories.
President Al-Alimi sends National Day greetings to India and Australia.
Egypt rejects regional division and warns against militias.
UNRWA warns of widespread education disruption among Gaza children. Welcome back into the details. We start with diplomatic news as President Rashad Al-Alimi, President of the Presidential Leadership Council, has sent cables of congratulations to leaders of India and Australia on their national occasions. President Al-Alimi congratulated President Draupadi Murmu on the anniversary of India's Republic Day and Governor General Sam Mostyn on Australia's National Day. On behalf of the Presidential Leadership Council, the government and the Yemeni people, President Al-Alimi conveyed his sincere wishes for their good health and happiness. He also expressed his hopes for continued progress and prosperity for the government and peoples of India and Australia, and for further development of bilateral relations between Yemen and the two friendly countries.
Also in diplomatic developments, Presidential Leadership Council member Mahmoud al-Subaihi met with United States Ambassador Stephen Fagan. The talks reviewed bilateral relations and ways to strengthen cooperation, alongside recent progress in stabilizing liberated governorates, improving security, restoring state institutions, and enhancing basic services. Al-Subaihi highlighted the importance of the planned Southern dialogue called for by President Rashad Al-Alimi, describing it as a key step toward inclusive solutions within a unified national framework. He welcomed Saudi Arabia's role in hosting the dialogue. He also praised continued U.S. support for the Council and the government, particularly in the counter-terrorism, border security, and efforts to curb arms smuggling that threaten Yemen's stability.
In a related context, Prime Minister Shaya Zandani received Italy's non-resident ambassador Carlo Balducci. The meeting reviewed bilateral cooperation and ways to strengthen relations in areas of mutual interest. The Prime Minister highlighted the depth of historical ties between Yemen and Italy and briefed the ambassador on recent national developments and government efforts to normalize conditions in liberated areas. He also reaffirmed the commitment of the Presidential Leadership Council and the government to unify military and security decision-making within state institutions as part of efforts to reinforce security and stability.
Canadian local authorities are moving forward on parallel tracks to improve services and strengthen security. The Minister of State and Governor of Aden, Abdurrahman Sheikh, met with the Director of the Saudi Program for the Development and Reconstruction of Yemen office in Aden, Ahmed Madkhali, to review priority development and service projects in the interim capital. Discussions focused on the planned coastal road project, proposed solutions for Al Buraiqa Bridge, support for Aden International Airport, fuel supply for power stations, and projects in the health sector. The governor stressed that local authorities' commitment to facilitating project implementation, praising the Saudi program's role in supporting infrastructure and basic services. In a related development, the governor also met with the director of the UN Special Envoy's Office, Albert Scott, to review progress on the redeployment of the military forces outside the city. The talks addressed efforts to reinforce security, preserve Aden's civilian character, and support the Saudi-sponsored Southern Dialogue. The UN official welcomed the steps taken, noting their positive impact on stability in the city.
Now to humanitarian efforts to the ground. The Massam project continues large-scale demining operations across Yemen. Here are the latest figures showing the scoop of landmine and explosive clearness since the start of January. According to a statement released by the project's media office, Massam teams cleared 4,862 landmines, unexplosive devices, and improvised explosive devices by January 23rd. The removals included anti-tank and anti-personnel mines, as well as thousands of unexploded shells in several mines-affected areas. The project also reported that its teams cleared more than 1,400,000 square meters of contaminated land this month, helping reduce risks to civilians and support the return of normal life. Since its launch in mid-2018, Massam teams have removed more than 534,000 explosive hazards and cleared nearly 77 million square meters of land across Yemen.
In regional remarks, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi reaffirmed his country's firm rejection of any attempts to divide states in the region, seize parts of their territory, or create militias and parallel entities outside legitimate national institutions. Speaking during Egypt's Police Day ceremony, President al-Sisi said such practices represent a clear red line for Egypt, stressing that they pose a direct threat to national and regional security. He underlined that state institutions are the foundation of stability, warning that militias do not protect countries and have instead contributed to the destruction of states where they were allowed to operate. On Gaza, the Egyptian president called for the unhindered humanitarian aid, full implementation of the second phase of the peace agreement, and the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip. He also rejected any attempts to displace Palestinians from the land. President al-Sisi warned that the displacement of Gaza's population could trigger wider regional and international consequences, including large-scale migration toward Europe.
In Gaza, the education crisis is deepening as hundreds of thousands of children remain out of school, according to the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees. UNRWA says more than 600,000 children in Gaza have been deprived of formal education for over 2 years. UNRWA Commissioner General Philippe Lazirani said the prolonged disruption has left many children living under severe psychological stress, stressing that restoring access to safe education remains a top priority. According to the agency, around 65,000 children are currently attending temporary learning spaces, while nearly 300,000 children others are receiving basic literacy and numeracy lessons through digital platforms.
For continuous updates, stay with Saba Satellite Channel. Thank you for watching and have a good time.